Here's one of the biggest money mistakes people make. They keep all their savings in cash. Sounds safe, right? Wrong. With inflation averaging 3% a year, $10,000 today will only be worth about $7,000 in 10 years. That means your money is actually losing value while just sitting in the bank. So investors put their money to work. Even in simple index funds, for example, you can get a 10-year treasury note that pays you 3.2%. Now that's not a lot, but at least it's a little bit more than 3%, which is what inflation is. So your money is still losing value, but not as much if you had just kept it in cash. You see, when you keep all your money in cash, you're essentially betting that the future will be less uncertain than the past. But the problem is, how do you know that? Because if you look at history, the future is always more uncertain than the past. There are always things that we do not know that will happen in the future that will cause prices to go up or down, and those things will always be more uncertain than the things that have already happened. That is why the price of a home has gone up every single year for the last 40 years. And that's why stocks have gone up for the last 100 years. It's because people always underestimate how much prices will go up in the future, and it is one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they keep all their money in cash. Because when you keep all your money in cash, you're basically saying, I want to be 100% certain that I have this money. But the reality is, there is nothing that is 100% certain except debt and taxes. So what do? Well, instead of keeping all your money in cash, you want to have some cash, sure, because you want to have an emergency fund, but you also want to have some investments. And even if you're a really risk-averse person, you can still invest in very safe things like a 10-year treasury note, which is basically a loan that you make to the government for 10 years. And the government is going to pay you 3.2% every single year for 10 years. So that's one of the safest investments that you can possibly make. But the point is, don't keep all your money in cash because your money is actually losing value every single year. So you want to put your money to work. Even if you're a really risk-averse person, you can still invest in things like bonds. But the point is, don't keep all your money in cash because then it's slowly disappearing. Instead, put your money to work. Invest it in something, anything, because that way at least it's growing a little bit, even if it's just barely growing, because otherwise it's disappearing. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make.